Hi everyone, it's Colin here. I'm just doing a re-recording of a presentation that I made in Z-Day in Frankfurt in April. There was a couple of problems with the original recording where the audio wasn't of great quality, so a few people asked to actually see the presentation again and were interested in the ideas, so I thought I'd just do a kind of a rejigged sort of screencast version like this. So not with quite the same atmosphere, but with pretty much the same idea. Let's get into it. Okay, so the name of the presentation was Into the Open Economy, and this is something I'll discuss a little bit more later. It's the title of a book that I wrote, and okay, let's get into it. So yeah, my name is Colin Turner. In 2011 I wrote a thing called the Free World Charter, which is basically a set of 10 guiding principles for operating a sustainable and freer world without money. And it's been pretty popular. I'm sure many of you have heard of it. All right, so it's basically 10 guiding principles, what I call like the minimum operating requirements for running a society. So there's basically like there are the 10 short little concepts. I'm going to run through them here now very, very quickly for you. These are these symbolizings of each of the principles. The first two really are concerned with enshrining all life on planet as of the highest priority, and that whatever our beliefs about other higher ideals than us, there is really no higher ideal than the thoughts of preserving life and protecting life on Earth as we know it. The third principle then is that we're an equal part of a community of species. So it's not just us and then all the animals. We're an equal species among a community of species. And of course, among humans, then we are each an equal person among a community of humans. Is breaking it down a little bit further. And number 5, that we basically create a better society really through basic education and through compassion and cooperation. Number 6 then is the money-free one. This is where we agree to actually provide everyone with basic needs and necessities. Number 7, we agree to respect the limits of nature. Number 8, we always apply the best available knowledge to any problems or situations. Number 9, we always exercise compassion with those who maybe are not able to, for any reason or another, to contribute to society. This little icon shows a wheelchair, which is of course isn't completely unfair really, but you get the idea. And number 10, of course, probably the most important, is that we agree to actually look after the planet for future generations who really don't have a voice or any power today. So that's really what the roundup of the Free World Charter. So do get a look at that on the freeworldcharter.org. Pretty much anyone involved in Zeitgeist or its Venus project can happily sign the Free World Charter, I think. So the big question that a lot of people concern themselves with in all these money-free movements is, how do we transition from A to B? How do we get from what we are doing today to where we want to get to? And this is a question that I think is actually asking the wrong question, because I believe that we're already in transition, that the work that we're doing, the work that I'm doing today, the work that you guys are doing, the work that anyone else watching this, is all part of the transition process. And maybe it's not going as fast as we'd like it to, but we can't deny that basically we are actually steadily progressing towards the better world that we want to see. And some projects like who's kind of specify sort of very futuristic models or very futuristic ideas for things are really just for me just predicting the inevitable anyway, that we're already heading in that direction. So the most important question is not really how do we get there, because we're really already on the way, but maybe we're only like 0.05% of the way or 0.5% of the way or something like that, but we're definitely on the way somewhere. So how do we transition is not really the important question. For me, the important question is, how can we make transition as fast as possible? This is the crucial question, I think, because while we can quite happily just sit and wait for transition to transpire, of course we do have the other problems in the medium term, which are stuff like climate change and social and civil unrest, and of course the ongoing ridiculous amount of poverty and unnecessary death in the world that is completely avoidable. So how do we actually get to the end product that we all want to get to as fast as possible, really, I think is the most important question, and the most important thing that we need to work towards is actually speeding up the transition. So a couple of years ago I wrote a book called F-Day, The Second Dawn of Man, in which I tried to actually tackle this whole question of transition and making it faster and moving things along that way. And it really was quite a fascinating project for me. It was one that I really, really enjoyed. It took me about 2 or 3 years to write this book. I think 3 years to write the book on and off. And obviously, I was dealing with I was in this kind of fictional universe, basically, where the book starts today, this day, and then it moves into it ends in F Day, which is basically where the whole world basically devolves the monetary and market system and moves towards a more compassionate cooperative society. That was the premise of the book. That's not giving away the plot too much, but you already know the ending anyway. But the idea of the book is that, the challenges for me, were actually that I had to deal with all these various little problems along the way as to how you would actually how you actually solve the little problems that arise. Like how do you maintain the essential services, and I think it's on the next slide. Yeah, stuff like how do you maintain essential services? What happens to shops and businesses? How do you complete large building projects? When the world is starting to go money free, and what happens with imports and exports? How do we trade with other countries that maybe aren't doing things the way we're doing them? How do you organize law and order? How do you maintain law and order when obviously some people will be quite willing to take advantage? What happens to prisons and prisoners? And what happens with opposition and resistance? These are all topics that I covered in the book, and they were challenges to me, because even though the book is an entirely a work of fiction, all these problems really are real, because even though you're writing a fictional novel, you still have to make your plot plausible, so you still have to kind of consider it. Well, how would I solve this problem? What would happen with shops and businesses, and how would you do that, and how would you actually resolve those problems? So I dealt with all those things in the book, and what was interesting was that even though that was a novel, that basically I ended up writing another book which was called Into the Open Economy, which is the title of this presentation. And what that book is, it's a little, very, very small little non-fiction book which basically takes the ideas that I had from F-Day, from really trying to solve those problems in this fictional universe, and I put them into this book in a kind of in a compendium of ideas, of basically ways of what happens with A, B and C when you're trying to transition to a money-free world. And this book, you can actually download this free from Amazon or from the Free World Charter website. It's completely free to download. It's only like 90 pages. It's really, really popular. It has like thousands and thousands of downloads. It's in loads of different languages. Then it's in English, Italian, French, German, Czech, Spanish and Portuguese, and I think one more that I can't remember. So it's available in lots of different languages. So I would definitely recommend you read that book. It's very, very short, and it's completely free for you to download. So when I was in Z-Day in April, which I had a great time, I posed a question to the audience to saying, well, look, why are you here? Why are you here today at Z-Day? What is the common thread that's bringing us all here to this place on this day? And of course, while a lot of people were there for many different reasons, I was proposing the idea that there was one underlying reason that everyone was gathered there today, and that reason was, thanks to the rock, it's hard. It's hard because what we're proposing and what we're trying to do is not easy. Let's face it, if it was really, really easy, we'd just be out there doing it. We'd be living in that world now. It would be a piece of cake. We wouldn't have to have these meetings with like small amounts of people and trying to boost each other up. The reason we're doing that is because what we're actually proposing and the way we're trying to set about doing it is actually really, really hard to do. I'm sure many of you, like me, have have probably had literally relationships kind of spoiled with coming into new ideas and proposing different ideas that people might find completely absurd. And it's not always easy to actually to maintain really healthy relationships with people when you come to the point where you're thinking so radically different from the norm that people almost kind of start to fence you off and kind of they're not calling you anymore and this kind of stuff. And I know plenty of people, including myself, that this has happened to, and it's a very real thing. So this, of course, makes it harder again, and also it makes it more attractive for people to get together to work together and to meet on meetings like Z-Day and stuff like that. So anyway, my point is not that there's any amount of reasons why it's hard, but what I'm trying to propose is how can we make it easier? What could we do? What steps should we be doing to make it easier? Because let's be honest, we could all do with a bit of help somehow. So I mean, if everyone had a project, or loads of people like myself are working on little projects like web applications, or they're writing books, or they're making movies, or making t-shirts and stuff like that. People are doing that, and they all seem to have they're struggling with it. And I'm saying to you, what is the one thing that you could offer people that would actually make their project a lot easier? And I think I'm going to come to that later. I think we're all going to be pretty unanimous in what that thing is. So we created this little company called Free World 1. I think the slide for that is here. And this is basically I'll come back to this in a minute. Free World 1 is basically a hybrid for-profit company that is basically raising money and to put it into projects that actually fit with our ideas and also can make money. I'll just go back to this slide. If you look at this slide here we have this is our ideology. These are the ideas that we more or less promote, more or less in the same, the Zeitgeist movement and the Free World Charter, or the Venus Project, or Ubuntu. They're all kind of out here, and then this is what's familiar to most people. This is what people like to see on the telly and read in the newspaper, and of course we're not really there. There's kind of out of orbit as far as those people are concerned. Then of course the other thing is we have stuff that works. We have like advertising and capitalism. It works in a lot of ways. It's a way of convincing people to buy crap that they don't need. If you just discount the immorality of that and just see that, well, it does actually work. It's successfully able to do that. So this is something we can consider. Now basically, if you take our ideas and the stuff that we're trying to promote and what's familiar and the stuff that works, there is actually an intersection of ideas, of stuff that works, that can work within the capitalist system, that will sell things, that will be able to generate income to support itself, that also fits in with our ideas, and that is also familiar to people. So this is a little sweet spot here, and that's what we have done with Free World 1. This is what we're proposing, is to actually work on this little sweet spot and put together any amount of projects and ideas that are ethical and sustainable, that are realistic to people, and are also they're financially viable. So the important way of that is that basically it means that the people who are working on the projects can get paid to work on the projects, which is really like it's going to be so useful to people. And this is what I'm saying to people earlier, that the projects that we're all kind of working on, we could all really use money and being paid to do that. Much as we don't like the idea of money, but we have to admit it's still the de facto way of doing business in this world right now. So it's going to really help people. So this is what we're doing with Free World 1. We're creating a company to make projects that generate an income and also advance our ideas. If you're just going to give you a rundown through one of these ideas, or a few of these ideas. The first one we're taking on is an educational project, which is actually releasing books to schools which teach lots of really important life skills that aren't really taught in schools now at all. And of course, this is something that's going to be really important if we want to have compassionate, cooperative-based communities all over the world, which is what we need for a moneyless society. We really need to start at a basic educational level. We need to start bringing in those core values into the basic syllabus. And the good news for this is that a lot of the teachers that I've spoken to who are within the system agree that we need to start teaching these skills in the classroom. We did a survey last year, and we had something like 86% said yes, that they would use a product like this. So we're making this product now. It's happening. It's already in development. Some books will be something on like empathy and cooperation, nature and compassion, reasoning and communication, giving people better relationship skills, better ways to communicate, instilling values like sharing, cooperation, and being self-responsible. It's probably one of the most important things that we could be teaching, if it at all. And of course, more appreciation of nature and compassion for other creatures that we share the planet with. These things are really, really important. And what we can do is we can introduce this as a kind of an add-on syllabus to schools. In these books, we'll be selling these books to schools in the UK and Ireland initially, and they will actually generate an income while also teaching really, really important, useful skills. FD, the book that I wrote there earlier, can actually be made into a movie as well, and I've actually been talking to a few producers who are interested in actually having a go at this. So there's a script already on the way in development. It's not certain whether this is going to happen. Of course, movies is such a fickle business, but the potential here is just to show you that if such a movie could be made, a medium budget movie of this caliber could be made, its potential to bring the ideas to a really massive mainstream audience is just colossal. Because if it could be something similar like The Bourne Identity. It's like this kind of it's like an action thriller, but with the absolute money-free message central in the plot, and this is how it goes and things. So it's a very tempting idea, but of course it's quite speculative at the moment. It's a huge project and required a lot of investment. So that's not a certainty, but it just goes to show the potential. Other projects that are already live, and the ones that we're working on with the Free World Charter, are like the Free World or Free Sharing Network. This is actually live now, and this is basically facilitating free sharing of goods and services between people, and it's a complete like an online inventory of people who are giving and sharing free goods and services. And this is absolutely essential. We need to be able to organize resources between each other and give it away freely. So that's happening. We can develop this into a mobile application, for example, and give it much more promotion if we have money behind it. At the moment, it's got about 2,000, 3,000 members or so. So if we can put more money into promoting and make it a mobile app, make it super easy for people to use, then this obviously creates it starts changing the habits of people, which is what we need to do. HonorPay is another application that is already out there. It's already built. It's on a website. It's basically a way of awarding people and showing gratitude and appreciation without paying any money. So you literally just send somebody a virtual honor, and it's like a token of appreciation. And there's a few limits to the system. Have a look at the site to check that out. Google it. That's another thing that can be made into a mobile app, and it could be made much more mainstream and could be promoted to a bigger audience. So another thing, again, that's something that we will need, of course, in the future, is a way to actually, rather than paying each other to show gratitude and appreciation, but a symbolic way of doing the same thing. And of course, we're open to other projects. We have a roster of about 6 or 7 projects now at the moment, but we're open to listening to other ideas, because if you have an idea that is sustainable, ethical, advances the ideas that we're trying to promote, and is potentially profitable, then let's talk, because we can maybe help you to get that project to the next stage. Now, the other thing is, it doesn't have to be profitable. For example, the Free World or Network and the HonorPay that I just showed you there, they aren't profitable, but they're necessary. So we really need 2 types of projects. Obviously, we need the sustainable, ethical, and advancing our ideas. But we need the profitable ones to basically support and pay for the non-profitable ones. We're not saying that one is more important than the other, but we do need profitable ones now so we can support the non-profitable ones later. So if you have any ideas, please go to our website, we'll show you now in a minute, and send them to us. This is our little rocket logo. At the moment, we're actually in the investment raising phase. So we're in round one funding of investment for the Free World 1 platform. And it's going really well. As of this moment, we have like 50% funding in place already, which is really, really incredible. We have such a huge response, positive response to this so far since Z-Day, actually, when I actually originally launched it. So we're 50% funded. We still need to raise another 50%, and the majority of that money is going into developing the educational books that I showed you there earlier. This is the profitable project that we're prioritizing now because it's highly profitable. And we're going to take that to the UK market, and if it does well there, then we can take it to any other market in the world. So there seems to be a huge demand for this kind of thing. That product is already in development, and we need to obviously to keep more funding in place so we can actually bring that product to the market. So if you're an investor, if you're interested in the ideas, please do think about investing in us. We're actually selling shares at this moment in time for 99 cents per share. So you can actually literally help us with money, but also investing in the company. So when we start making a profit, then so do you. So basically, it's just a standard shareholder deal that you basically buy a small stake in the company, and when the net profits are there, then you get your money back and more, I hope. So that's it. That's pretty much roundup of where we are. Free World 1 is the name of the platform that we've just launched. Look it up there, freeworld1.com. If you can make an investment at this stage, this is the most important thing we're looking for now, just to raise the investment. We've had lots of submissions already from people looking for help with their applications or projects, and that's great as well. But at the moment, our priority is just getting the investment in. But please do keep sending us the projects and ideas, because we're getting really such a positive response to this so far. If you're in a position to invest, then I think it's a really, really good investment. You won't find a more ethical and sustainable investment anywhere, I think. So it's a really good idea. I'm really happy that we've had such a great response from people, and I hope that it's really going to bring us places very, very fast. This is why we have our little rocket logo, whereas our Free World Charter began with a butterfly. We've kind of evolved into a rocket because we're in a hurry now. We want to get things done, and I think we need to get things done because there is a serious decline in well, I don't have to tell you, in biodiversity. There's a risk of climate change. There's still antisocial behavior, and all these kind of problems are still going on, which are really, really easily solvable, but need to be solved at scale. They can't be solved in a small way. So that's what we're trying to do. We're basically training this hybrid philanthropic company that basically supports the projects that can create a free, fair and sustainable world for all. And while we're still in the money system, you invest in us and you get a share in the profits too, so everyone benefits. It's a win-win-win situation. Okay, that's a roundup of, that's the end of my presentation. Thanks for watching. If you want any more details, please go to the website and contact me there, and thanks very much.